The man invented a super rifle, but when he pressed the trigger, after a loud explosion, he found that only a bullet hole appeared on the surface of the distant concrete. However, behind the concrete, a large amount of smoke and dust rose. Everyone hurried forward to check. After inspection, they were surprised to find that although there was only an inconspicuous bullet hole on the concrete surface, a large hole had been blasted out on the back. Even a nearby building had been directly penetrated. To test the power of the super rifle, Jack asked his companion to replace it with a brand new battery and set up a camera to record. As Jack fired continuously forward, the distant iron bridge collapsed under the tremendous power. They were extremely excited, so they decided to take the video to the military for review, intending to sell the weapon for a generous reward. However, after watching the video, the officer thought it was synthesized and asked Jack to bring the weapon to the shooting range for a live test. But when Tom saw Jack take out a toy-like electric gun, he immediately showed a disdainful expression. However, Jack remained calm and unconcerned. Then he raised the super rifle and pulled the trigger at a distant heavy tank. In just an instant, the explosive blast swept over. This scene shocked and delighted Tom. To purchase the rifle and its technology, Tom quickly approached Jack to inquire about the price. Jack unhesitatingly quoted a price of $100 million. Tom immediately agreed, stating they would gather the funds and complete the transaction by noon the next day. However, unexpectedly, after returning to the office, Tom began investigating Jack's connections. Soon, the time for the next day's transaction arrived. At this point, Jack had no idea that Tom had already set a trap for him. When Jack arrived at the transaction location, he found that the other party had not brought the money and even brandished weapons to threaten him. Just as Jack was about to escape, he discovered that his family had also been kidnapped by Tom. Jack had no choice but to hand over the weapon and data to the adversary. After confirming the data was correct, they allowed Jack and his family to leave. However, they didn't know that Jack soon arrived at the rooftop with his teammates. They set up a signal booster there and aimed at Tom's car. It turned out that Jack had installed a locator on the weapon in advance, allowing him to monitor Tom's movements through surveillance. Seeing the vehicle enter the range, Jack quickly took out the second-generation super rifle. Although this weapon looked like a toy water gun, its power and range far exceeded the first generation. As the distance closed, Jack slowly pulled the trigger.